Hi everyone, welcome to the first of our Tour de France series from Balwyn Sports and Physiotherapy Centre. My name's Andrew Wynd, I'm a sports physio and I'm going to take you through the inside tips that I've picked up from working with cyclists of all levels, right from weekend warriors all the way through to professionals. I'm going to share them with you today. The first one we're going to work on today is the myths about pulling up on your pedals. Now, this is a common one I get all the time. I don't think I've done a bike setup without getting asked this question, and it's still getting taught at various spin classes and cycling instructors. So I'm going to use the whiteboard to demonstrate why you shouldn't be pulling up on your pedals. So if we take this as a pedal stroke and the direction of movement is this way, so let's just say it's the right pedal. So the right pedal's moving around like this. We know the 12 o'clock, 3, 6 and 9 o'clock positions. Now the power position is here through to here, okay? So typically we're starting to push across the top of the pedal stroke as we come across the 12 and then down, and this in here is the peak power section. So we know from the biomechanical research that that's certainly where you get the most amount of power and pushing down. And the pedal stroke comes through and the sweep across the bottom. Now this is where things start to go wrong in this section here, and it's often taught, and a bit of a misconception, that you want to pull up on the pedal. And the usual story is that people think that will give them more power. But I'm going to show you right with this example why you won't get more power. Potentially you'll actually get less power. And the first reason is cycling is not a single-sided sport. You've got one pedal doing one thing on one side and one pedal doing the other thing on the other side. And if we have a look here, the peak power section here, if we look across the other side, that's where the pedal's coming up. So what I've noticed and in working with these cyclists for many years is that if you're trying to push down very hard, let's say at 100 RPM, so pretty quick, on this side, typically it's very hard to pull up, not so hard on the other side. So you usually compromise the main power section on this side by trying to pull up on the other side. That's the first thing that happens, you actually lose power. The second thing that can happen is you tilt the pelvis. So in an effort to try to push down on one side and pull up on the other, the pelvis tips and we don't have a stable platform to drive the pedals off. And again, you'll see loss of power through dipping side to side. Little note, this is only for high-speed riding, not up hills on flat ground. So we definitely only want to apply this for flat ground riding. Hill climbing is a little different technique that we won't talk about today, and sprinting, when you're going all out, you're pushing down, you're pulling up, it's a different scenario. So this is just for flat road riding at reasonable cadences. So that's the first reason. You usually lose power or compromise your body position. The really other important reason I want to share with you is that muscles work, if they work across two different joints, then they work on a power curve. If we draw this graph here, two joint muscles work like this. They hit peak power here, so this is torque, ability to turn the pedals or produce force, and this is range of motion on this axis here. So all two joint muscles that you use for cycling act on a curve similar to this. They're all a little bit different, but for these purposes it's the same. So I'll ask you this question and see if you can answer it. What are the muscles that would be pulling up on the pedal at that pedal stroke anyway? If you got it right, it's the hip flexors and the hamstrings. So the hip flexors are here helping pull up, and the hamstrings are here also helping pull up at the back of the stroke. Now the problem with that is the hamstrings and the hip flexors, when you start to pull up across the bottom of the stroke coming through to that 9 o'clock position, you're already at this part of the curve. So with each degree of movement as you come across the top of the pedal stroke, getting ready for the next push, the hamstrings and the hip flexors have already lost their peak ability to produce power, and they're getting worse with every single little degree of movement. So the muscles that do this are really not in a great position. Now, there's a few secrets I'll share in other cycling videos that will come back to that, but hopefully you can see from those really key reasons why you shouldn't be pulling up on your pedals. If you have any questions about that, or you've got a difference of opinion, I would love to hear from you, and we always enjoy discussing these things with cyclists. We'll see you in the next video.